This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Netflix. Welcome back to another episode of Rettinger's Rants. I'm your host, John Rettinger. This is the show where I rant and rave on anything from the wide world of technology and sometimes a little bit outside. So this week we're going to talk about Android updates for your phones, the processes that carriers have to go through to get updates on them, and why your shiny new Samsung, HTC, LG phone doesn't have the latest version of Android and you are super sad face. This is Rettinger's Rants. Let's go ahead and get started. So one of the more popular questions I get is, when is my X phone going to get the latest version of Android? So let me walk you through the process a little bit. First, stop complaining. If you bought your phone unlocked, meaning you bought it from a third party, you bought it not from the carrier themselves, you went to an unlocked retailer site, you bought it from the back of a truck, however you got your phone, if it's not through a carrier, then you might be in luck. You might just get a newer version of Android. The only barrier between Google and your phone, in that case, is the manufacturer of that phone. Let's just say HTC, for example, because that was the first thing that popped into my head. Google puts out a new version of Android, they seed the code out to everybody, and usually developers get the code the same day that it's released from Google. That's developers, that's manufacturers, everybody usually gets that code on the same day. So they get a week or two, they get the code, they test it out with their latest skin, and they can push it out to you, in theory. That's how it would work, and then you get Android 4.2 and you'd be super happy and all will be okay with the world. But that is not the way the world works. There are skins on these phones, first of all, which have to be checked for compatibility. So they got to run through that phase. They got to check for features to make sure they're not counteracting each other. They got to go through and do QA, which stands for quality assurance, to make sure every spec and every feature works with the new version of Android, which takes quite a long time. Once they do that, then they'll push it out to your phone. But also there's a question of whether or not it's worth the money for them. They got to go through and test all these things. That takes a lot of man hours, a lot of computer hours, and has a huge cost. So your 2-year-old phone, they're probably not going to test it if it works. If you got maybe a 4 or 5 month old phone, then yeah, they might test it. Then your only barrier to getting the latest version of Android is just that, whether or not the manufacturer wants to spend the money. And if they do, then boom, Android on your phone. Everybody's happy, you're not sad, you're not emailing your friendly local tech journalist saying, John, why is it your fault that my HTC whatever didn't get Jables? Well, now you know why. But then you throw in the carriers, where most people get their phones. They go to a store, sign a 2-year contract, and they get a phone. And then things get even fishier and longer. Then you can appreciate why you're not getting the latest version on your phone. So after the manufacturer goes through and tests all those things, spend a bajillion dollars to test it, then it has to go to the carrier. Let's just use AT&T because that popped into my head. AT&T's got to say, okay, we got to test that on our airwaves. Maybe there's a line of code that's not going to play nicely with the LTE to HSPA plus transition or the HSPA plus transition to Edge. They got to test all those things to make sure you get a seamless experience as possible on their network. And that takes time and that takes money. And that actually takes a lot of time. The process for certification can generally take anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, and sometimes even up to 2 months. So then you throw that into the mix. And all those times there's variables of people saying, not worth the money. So you're not going to get the update to your phone, and it just takes longer and longer and longer. So should you complain to the manufacturers? Nope. Probably not. Should you complain to your carriers? Nope, probably not. Do you want to go to Google? Those should be the folks you complain to. If Google wanted to make this easier for everybody, they could possibly release the code earlier than their announcement. Or, this is just something crazy, maybe stop releasing new versions every 3 months. It might make life easier for everybody. Stop it. Too many versions of Android. Let people enjoy their latest stuff for like a day before a new dessert comes out. That might make people happy. Might make me happy. Oh, I might be sad because then you don't get cool features. But people are going to stop complaining. And if they stop complaining about that, I'm sure they find something else to start complaining about, because there's so much to complain about. Complain about the fiscal cliff. Complain about wars all around the world. Famine. People starving. Inflation. Stagflation. Other things that end in inflation. Inflation. Balloons are blowing up everywhere. There's a lot of stuff to worry about with whether or not your phone's going to get the latest version of Android. So stop it. Stop complaining. If you want to make sure your phone gets the latest version of Android for the next couple months, buy a Nexus phone. I'm saying it again. Buy a Nexus device. And stop complaining. Honestly, the bulk of emails that I get saying, when is my phone getting X upgrade, it's probably in the 10 to 20 per day, 7 days a week. And I want to share with you as a friendly, ranty way. Stop it. Just do your research. If you want to get one of the great carrier phones out there, one of the great third-party manufacturer phones that put on their own skins, they're awesome. But don't rely on a software update. Don't rely on saying, okay, I know I'm going to get the next version of Android, because yeah, you might not. So be happy with what you have when you buy a phone is really the moral of this video. If you're not happy with what you get the day you buy it, not going to be happy 2 years from now. Get a phone you're going to be happy with for 2 years. If you want to be guaranteed of upgrades, go for a Nexus. Hopefully that helps answer a lot of questions. And I'm sure I angered a few folks out there, but heck, it's Rettinger's Rants. You got to make somebody mad. Somebody out there's got to be mad. Or I just didn't do my job. Alright, so let me take a break from ranting and raving to thank our friends and sponsors at Netflix. You know them, you love them, you watch Mad Men with them, and you should sign up with them. Netflix streams TV shows and movies directly to your home, saving you time, money, and hassle. As a Netflix member, you can instantly watch TV episodes and movies streaming directly to your PC, Mac, or right to your TV with your Xbox 360, PS3, or Nintendo Wii or Wii U consoles. Watch as many movies as you want, anytime you want, cancel anytime. To get a free 30-day trial membership, go to netflix.com/buffalo. Sign up today. You could get Netflix and be happy and catch up on all your favorite shows. Thank you for watching this episode of Rettinger's Rants. Let me know what you thought. Am I way off base? Should I not have told you that you're not going to be happy with your phone? Love to hear your thoughts on about it. Leave your comments down below. Check us out at technobuffalo.com for the latest and greatest tech news. I am John Rettinger, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.